Mr. Speaker, we're looking for a reaction to the impeachment panel's action and what comes next.
You know, quite frankly, I've not had a chance to review the report. I know that the committee worked very late into the night last night. I have not had a chance to review the report, but I heard good reports about the way the committee acted. But actually, I'm going to go upstairs here in just a few minutes and start going over that report to see what it actually says.
Well, kind of in that line, I know we've talked about it, a lot as far as some of the criticism has been lobbed at the House and the impeachment committee specifically. Now that the impeachment committee has more or less finished its report on the impeachment petitions against Cameron and Bashir, what do you make of how the impeachment committee operated? Do you like what they did, or do you think that there was some opportunity for maybe them to be more transparent or maybe more expedient?
Joe, we've obviously tried we've shown that we try to learn from things as we go forward, as we encounter these things again. I'm sure that there are some improvements that could be made to the process, but I never had any doubt about the integrity of the process. But I am sure that as we sit down and kind of rehash these things, we'll figure out ways to improve it. And I don't know what those changes would entail at this point, but I'm sure that we would have some change that we would make.
How quickly do you anticipate a decision being made on the future of the impeachment petitions? I know the committee's recommendation was just a recommendation, but you said you're going to be looking at it for next little bit here. Do you anticipate making a decision about moving forward with it, or maybe dropping it in the near future?
I don't know that there is an additional decision to be made. We received the report, and there likely is not any other action that we can take on it.
Well, I guess kind of in that line, do you anticipate making maybe a public announcement that there's going to be no further action?
I don't know. Again, I haven't even read it to know what I'd be announcing at this point. So.
Okay. Another question that was sent in. You filed a resolution yesterday that addressed the governor's executive orders. This is aimed specifically at those that expire on March 4th, and will you elaborate on it?
Sure. That was a placeholder bill. That is, we know that based on Senate Bills 1 and 2 that we passed earlier in the session, that all these orders will expire in 30 days after the passage of that bill. There are certainly some of those orders that we will want to keep. There are some that are very, very beneficial. Things like waiving penalties and interest on business licensees, on delaying continuing education requirements, COVID testing copays on insurance, lots of things that are very important to us continuing to do. Price gouging was one that comes to mind. This again, it was a placeholder as a shell bill. It came to me right before we adjourned, actually yesterday. We knew we needed a placeholder. I didn't like the way it was worded, but knowing it was a placeholder, we didn't have time to redraft it. So there will be a committee sub, and we'll be analyzing all of those executive orders one by one and making a decision on each one of them, and that will be the ultimate committee sub.
Another question about your basic priorities heading into the final push of this session.
Budget. At the end of the day, I've said that from day one, that our number one priority has to be passing a responsible budget. And I feel like that we will do that. It's certainly not going to be, it's going to be, once again, going to be a budget that everybody likes. But it is going to be a responsible version of how to utilize state taxpayer dollars.
Where are budget talks currently?
We can continue to get budget briefings. We continue to get information from budget staff on different ideas, different concepts, different proposals. I don't think that we're certainly not anyways close to being completed. We've really not had significant negotiations at this point, and we will be doing that. We will be engaging the minority for those negotiations, But and I assume that they are going through that same exercise. Our LRC nonpartisan staff, budget staff, is a great set of great staff group that is available to both parties, both chambers. So I would assume that they are also going through that process, trying to, again, for them to get their arms around ultimately how we want to approach this budget.
Going back to impeachment, I believe Representative Koenig has a bill to limit who can file impeachment petitions, and I believe that bill limits it just to House members, if I'm not mistaken. What are your thoughts on that bill?
Again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. We try to learn from these experiences, not make rash decisions, and make good long-term policy. And I think it's certainly something to consider. It's something that we will discuss, but I don't think that we are prepared to make a firm commitment one way or the other on that issue yet.
And switching topics to House Bill 309, which passed out of committee earlier today. It's Representative Miller's bill that does a few things, but it also it addresses some stuff in Louisville metro government politics, and specifically the mayoral race. It would make that nonpartisan. I guess what are your thoughts on that bill, and how soon do you expect that to hit the floor for a vote?
Have not talked about timing on it. I know that there are some pretty critical issues in there involving the citizens review panels and their subpoena authority, and how they would obtain that subpoena authority. Obviously, the one that gets the most attention is the nonpartisan mayoral race. Frankly, I have to ask the question in that as to why we wouldn't, if we're going to make it a nonpartisan issue, which I think most every city in Kentucky does, regardless of size. Both their mayors and their councils are nonpartisan. So I'm not sure what the thinking is of leaving one partisan and nonpartisan. And I think there are pros and cons to both. I have had several conversations about the issue with other mayors of large cities, both around the country and here in Kentucky. And nearly unanimously, they believe it makes for a better form of government. But I think that we'll listen to all the debate, and everybody will make the decision that they think is best, for the people of Louisville.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.